For years, I sat in meetings watching everyone around me get excited about whether it was the latest technology, buying books, going to conferences. And I felt nothing. I felt nothing about the technology. I cared more about the people. I cared about the customers. I cared about why we're doing what we're doing. I cared about the business. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader. I'm your host, Limor Bergman Gross, and today I wanted to talk about fulfillment versus achievement and share a little bit of my personal story. Especially, it will help you if you feel that you may be on the wrong path, or like if you are thriving but not fulfilled. And you know, I worked in tech, more precisely in leading software development team for over 20 years. Overall, I had a good career, but there were many years that I felt like I'm not on the right path. I felt different from others, not just because I'm a woman and I work mainly with men, but I noticed several things alongside my career. I was passionate about people. I was passionate about clients, about the business, about why we're doing what we're doing, what outcomes, we're expected to have. And I saw a lot of other engineering leaders that I worked with passionate a lot about technology. And I remember like people were buying books, going to conferences and really excited about technical talks. And for me, it was not like the main passion or something that really, driven me forward. I wish in my career I have realized what I realize now, that there are more in life than one path. And eventually that led me to leaving corporate and starting my business and becoming a coach and becoming an international speaker. And I don't know what future will hold, but what I want to leave you with is that even if you feel like the path you're at is not necessarily the right path for you, there are a lot of other options for you. And I'll be honest with you, when I started, if I'm taking myself like about 30 years backward, like in my early 20s, I had no idea what I wanted to do, right? I mean, what do you want to do when you grow up? I had no clue. I knew that I was good at math, at physics, at chemistry. That were my majors in high school. And I grew up in a middle-class family. The values were very clear. Study hard, work hard, build a career that pays the bill, very practical. So with that thinking in mind, I didn't think about like, what do I want? Where are my passions and stuff like that? I was just thought, okay, what would be practical thing to do based on my skills? And back then I thought, okay, if I'm good at STEM related fields, I'll go and study computer science because that's very practical and I'll get good high paying job, which eventually happened. But the thing is that I went to that route, not because I was necessarily passionate about it, but because it was very practical and very safe. And once I started, I couldn't stop. Like it was like one path that I didn't see any other path available for me. So I started my career as a software engineer and I grew into leadership and I wasn't even considering other options. And looking backwards, I mean, there were a lot of other options for me that maybe, if I did, I could have thrived at, like product, marketing, maybe even sales. And I never even explored that because it didn't occur to me that it is even possible for me. And I wanted to kind of relate to what my guest in the episode this week on Wednesday, Gabriela Embon said. She said, most of our choices as adults are unconscious attempts to correct our childhood. Mine was not about correcting my childhood exactly. It was about following the script my environment gave me. And it was study hard, work hard, build something safe. And I followed that script. I followed it so well that I never stopped to ask whether it was actually mine. And I'm not sharing that to say that it was bad or anything like that, but there are other options. And that's kind of what I want to share with you. If you are at a place, if you resonate with what I'm saying and you're saying, well, maybe I'm not here by choice necessarily, there are other options for you. And a lot of women that come to me for coaching, not all of them, but many of them, build careers that pays the bills, that are even get paid very well, but they don't get fulfilled. I even got a new client, just this week. And she said, well, I have high-paying job. Supposedly everything is good, but I'm not fulfilled. I don't feel like that's what I want to do moving forward. I don't know what else and how to build it. And that's what we're going to work on. I think one of the challenges, and I don't know if this is just for women, but I will share this, for me specifically and for other women that I work with, we don't give ourselves permission to explore what else might be possible. Because the safe path is working. And a lot of times there are, the patterns that I see, we get stuck not because of not being capable, but because we never look sideways. And, I had a guest in my podcast that talked about her career as a jungle gym versus a ladder. And I will put the link in the show notes here. I just climbed vertically. That's the only thing that I saw. It's like a horse that you kind of put the blindfolds on the sideways, so the horse only look forward and cannot look sideways. That was me. And I didn't ask, what are the things I'm actually good at? What are the things that I care about? Maybe there are other options. I never even thought about that. And I want to encourage you, to do things that maybe I should have done. Look wider, look at your skills and figure out what else is possible for you, because you don't have to just move up vertically like I did. And if I was taking myself maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, what I wish that someone told me is that I don't have to only grow vertically in my career. There are a lot of options horizontally that I could have done. And I don't regret, because I don't believe in regrets, right? I mean, it's just that realization that I wanted to share with you, that hopefully, will help you. And I wish someone said to me, you don't have to stay in engineering just because that's where you started. Your skills transfer. You're allowed to explore. And that was not something I allowed myself to do. And if you are in a role right now that pays well, but doesn't light you up, have you actually looked at what else is out there? Not necessarily even outside your company, but maybe outside your function. Have you had a conversation with someone in my case, okay, I come from engineering, so someone in product, in customer success, in a role that uses the skills you already have, but in a way that energizes you instead of draining you. And sometimes, exploring within your company is not enough, and sometimes the things that fulfill you doesn't exist in your current job at all. And that's where the idea of building something on the side comes in, which I talked to in my episode last week. And I'll also refer to, I put the link here. Another thing that, when I look back in my career, I wish I started to build a business as a side gig when I was still employed. And this is another option for you if you are feeling not fulfilled and thinking, well, maybe I will start something else. Maybe I'll start a business. You don't have to quit. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing. You can start something on the side, something that lights you up while your bills are being paid. And the point here I'm trying to make is not that everyone should become an entrepreneur, rather than you owe it to yourself to explore, whether it's a lateral move, a side project, or even just a conversation that opens door you didn't know existed. And Gabriela's, shared in the episode this week, that fulfillment is not the reward of achievement. You can check every box and still feel empty if those boxes were never yours to begin with. Like for me, when I was supposedly thriving in my career, right? And people on the side really thought that I'm very successful. And inside, I wasn't always fulfilled. I wasn't always happy with what I was doing. And I kept kind of thinking, what else I could do? So I want to encourage you not to wait 20 years like I did to realize you care about, in my example, about people, about growing women. In your case, it can be something else. Start asking yourself now, what am I actually passionate about? What would I do if the safe choice wasn't the only choice? And what's one thing that I can explore this month, not this year, this month, to move it forward? And if you feel successful on paper, but unfulfilled in your gut, have you ever looked around and wonder what's out there? What's more seem exciting? What else exists that will light your eyes, that you're passionate about? If someone had sat me down 20, 25 years ago and said, Limor, you care about people more than technology, and that's not a weakness, that's your direction, maybe my career would have looked very different. I can't go back in time, but I can sit here now and say that to you, and hopefully help you make conscious choices about your career and your life. Thank you so much for listening to the episode. I hope it was valuable for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform and share it with any woman who needs to hear it. And I'll see you next week. Bye.